Thank you. It's absolute pleasure to be back here. First of all, namaste and good afternoon, good evening. Good evening. Okay, I think we are somewhere between good afternoon and good evening. It's okay. And the most dangerous session is the one which is coming up after this. so this is going to be still safer. But पता नहीं मेरा क्या होने वाला है. And
Ladies.
as much as I can remember, I never did any harm to Thomas G ever in his life. but he still scheduled this evening session. Okay. First of all, I want to say that thank you so much for inviting me. It's a slightly long trip for me. Started on Monday, will reach tomorrow, which is Friday, which is 5 days away from home. Though I'm used to it, it's not that I'm not used to it. Of course, during pandemic, I was not traveling, but otherwise I'm used to it. But yes, you do miss family. And this is a place where everything is inside. So you really can't step out or do anything else. So everything is available. But more than anything, what I am absolutely delighted about is I also gained more confidence in my own ability, because it's one of the most memorable training assignments that I've ever done. Training contract workers, then the security staff. It's an incredible experience, because होता क्या है कि you go to various organizations और वो लोग कई बार managers की training कराते हैं, officers की training कराते हैं. You are generally doing management training, but you hardly get an opportunity to work with these kind of people who actually are the foundation of the organization. So they do such amazing work and they do very difficult work. So and to have an opportunity to talk to them, really thank HR. I thank all of you for this amazing opportunity. So thank you so much for inviting me all over again. मेरी बीवी थोड़ी घबरा गई थी कि मतलब फिर से बबराला जाओगे. Because of the distance, the travel. So, but it's fun. It's not a problem at all. So today we are going to talk about a very interesting subject which is relevant for all of us in our life, which is leadership. And how do you want it? You want me to talk, or you would like to participate and ask questions? Keep it interactive? Yes. Yeah, we keep it interactive. A bit of English, bit of Hindi. Yes. It's fine. Okay, great. So एक तो मुझे बहुत अभी relief मिल रहा है कि I can talk back in English now. So, though I am very comfortable with Hindi, but English is where I belong to. So all the thinking happens in English. So finally, I'm very happy that I can deliver a session in English. So though I thoroughly enjoy doing my Hindi sessions also. Okay, so one of the things which is also a passion for me is writing. So I would have written about 150 or 160 blogs so far over the last so many years. So I have a blog site, bolharibol.blogspot.com, and plus I write very regularly on LinkedIn. So you can check out my LinkedIn profile. There would be about 75 articles there on various topics. They range from, they're typically management oriented. So that's one aspect of my writing. And the other very important aspect of my writing is I've authored 8 books so far. And I'm authoring the 9th one. It's currently under construction. And it should get published in the next 30 to 45 days or so. So it's under process. And all the topics are very interesting. They range from sales to self-help. And the last book which we authored, whose second volume is now coming, is actually a book called Eves Against the Odds. It's a story of 25 women entrepreneurs. It's purely focused on women entrepreneurs. So we selected 25 people, we curated them, and we have written their stories. Actually, we have not written, they have written it, and we have kind of compiled it. So the editing is on currently. So it's co-authored with a friend, and that co-author is after my life to finish the editing. So I told him I'm here. I'm doing back-to-back sessions. I have very little energy to sit down and edit, but I'll finish it by the end of the month. is what I've committed. I hope I stick to it. So we're working on the second edition of that. Now, besides this, one of the other books that I wrote along with a gentleman called A.S. Narayanan, who is the CEO of a company called Reach Achcon. And he was a very big professional, a very big senior management professional. He was the chief distribution officer for Bajaj Allianz Life Insurance. So he left his job, then he started his business. So he's a big shot. He happens to be my friend and client. So we co-authored a book called Leadership Gita, the 6 Tenets of Great Leaders. It's available on Amazon. It would be lovely if HR can organize a copy for all of them through Amazon, or all of you can order it from Amazon. So it's a very small book. It's just 59 minutes reading. That's what the title also says. It's a 59-minute read. And today I'm going to give you उस किताब का मैं आपको सार देने वाला हूँ आज. So whatever is there in that book, I'm just going to share the tenets with you. And leadership is a very big subject. It's a huge subject. There can be 6 tenets, there can be 60 tenets. And still you will find that it is not enough. Human beings are full of surprises. So it's very difficult to manage human beings. So can you tell me what's the fundamental difference between, we'll come to that, but I'm just asking right now. We will come to people management in more detail. But what is the fundamental difference between, let's say, if you have a pet dog at home, for example, training an animal and training a human being? What is the fundamental difference? इन दोनों में फर्क क्या होता है? Anybody has a pet dog at home? Are you allowed to have pets in the complex? Yeah, you're allowed. Okay. But if peacocks are allowed, I think dogs should also be. So, yeah.
Are you trying?
Huh?
I'm just trying.
The answer.
The pet dog.
Yeah.
If you train the pet dog in a particular skill,
Right.
he will repeat every time the same skill.
Absolutely.
But the human is highly unpredictable.
Absolutely.
The same input, the output is highly unpredictable.
Very true. Very true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other perspective? Any other perspective? What's the difference between training an animal, for example, especially a pet dog, because that's what many people have.
एनिमल अपना दिमाग नहीं लगाता है.
एनिमल अपना दिमाग नहीं लगाता.
दिमाग लगा के और उसमें
हाँ, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. लेकिन इंसान दिमाग लगाना छोड़ दे तो भी गड़बड़ है. मतलब वो दिमाग लगाए तो मुसीबत है, और नहीं लगाए तो भी मुसीबत है. तो जी सर.
They need imitation. They learn by imitation.
Animals.
Animals.
हाँ.
And the man, they learn by doing also.
They learn by doing also. Absolutely.
They need a command.
Yeah.
But we need a logic and analysis of that too.
Correct. However flawed that logic might be, but we need logic. Excellent. Very well said. So what happens is, see, I'm not comfortable with dogs. I have no problem with them, of course. I never harm them, never hurt them. But I don't have this feeling कि मेरे घर में होना चाहिए, pet dog होना चाहिए. ऐसा बंबई में वैसे ही घर छोटे छोटे होते हैं.
आदमी को रहने की जगह नहीं.
हाँ,
सही बात. आदमी को रहने की जगह नहीं.
हाँ, बिल्कुल. तो बट वो अलग बात है. जिनके घर में, जिनका घर छोटा है, वो भी पेट डॉग्स रखते हैं. अपने अपने शौक की बात है. So suppose let's say Neeraj sir has a dog at home and I tell him, sir, मैं आपके घर पे आ रहा हूँ, हम लोग साथ में चाय पियेंगे, लेकिन आपका वो जो डॉग है ना, उसको आप मेरे से दूर रखना. And let's say the dog's name is let's say Rambo, for example. And Neeraj sir tells Rambo, my friend Hariharan is coming. उनको देखना है, भौंकना है, क्योंकि मैं तुमको रोक नहीं सकता. तुम 2 बार भौंक के चुपचाप अपने कमरे में चले जाना, इनके सामने नहीं आना. तो रैम्बो मुझे देखते ही 2 बार आएगा, ये 2 बार डांटेंगे, फिर वो तीसरी बार समझ जाएगा और वो चला जाएगा. ओके. अब समझिए नीरज जी के घर पे 2 छोटे बच्चे हैं, और नीरज जी ने बोला मेरे एक मित्र आ रहे हैं मुझसे मिलने, हमारा कुछ अपना डिस्कशन होगा, तुम बेमतलब का आकर बीच में डिस्टर्ब नहीं करना, तुमको जो भी खेलना है अंदर खेलना. तो पहला सवाल पूछेगा क्यों. मैं अंदर जाके क्यों खेलूं, आप लोग अंदर क्यों नहीं बैठ सकते? अरे बेटा मैं बता रहा हूं ना तुमको कि मेरे मित्र आ रहे हैं, मुझे कुछ कॉन्फिडेंशियल बात करनी है, तो कॉन्फिडेंशियल बात आप अंदर भी कर सकते हो. So this is the challenge with handling human beings, because they will ask questions and they want answers, and whatever answer you give them, they will never be convinced about it 100%. So ये 3 दिनों में मैंने देखा कि मेरे सेशन के अंत में एक सेफ्टी सेशन हो रहा है, तो वो जो सेफ्टी समझा रहे उनको देखकर मुझे दया आ रही थी.
कसम तो बिल्कुल सरप्राइजिंग था.
क्योंकि they are so much concerned, you know, for the welfare of everybody, and that everything is good, everybody's job is safe, everybody's life is safe, you know, and participants are saying हाँ हम बाइक पहन चलाएंगे, हेलमेट नहीं पहनेंगे, अब आप चिंता मत करो, हम तो बहुत जिम्मेदार हो गए. यू नो, हरिहरन जी आने के पहले हम बहुत गैर जिम्मेदार थे, वो आए तो 50% हो गए, अभी आप आए हो तो 100% जिम्मेदार हो गए, कोई टेंशन नहीं है. यू नो, देन व्हाट हैपेंस? Then you start monitoring and you find that again 50% of the population or 60% of the population is only adhering to it. Few others are still very negligent about it. So this whole business of leadership is a very complicated process. And you have to come and you have to continuously keep telling the same thing. It's like a mother's thankless job, you know. बेटा होमवर्क कर, हाँ करता हूँ. आधे घंटे बाद होमवर्क किया, नहीं कर रहा हूं, अभी तक नहीं किया, अरे कर रहा हूं मम्मी, कर रहा हूं. और एक आधे घंटे के बाद बेटा होमवर्क किया, अरे कर रहा हूं यार, इसका मुंह बंद करने के लिए कर देता हूं. So you see, so I correlate leadership with a lot of with parenting. There is a lot of lessons we can learn about leadership from parenting, because we all became a leader for the first time when we were born, because you have to lead your life, and second time when you actually formed a team when you became a parent, because now you have a team member, and now you know how the new team members are getting born. They are born with Netflix in their hand. When they are born, they are already watching Netflix. पहले लगता था अरे 9 महीना बच्चा पेट में है, कैसे मैनेज कर रहा होगा. आजकल वो बहुत बिजी है, ओटीटी देख रहा है. उसको कोई टेंशन नहीं है, वो 9 महीना ओटीटी पे बिजी है, वो नेटफ्लिक्स देख रहा है, अमेजॉन प्राइम देख रहा है, और बाहर आते ही तुमको ज्ञान दे रहा है कि स्विगी से खाना वाना ऑर्डर करो, मैं आ गया हूँ. So you see, so today's children are a totally different breed or a different generation, and they are extremely exciting. And secondly, these kids are not only in your home, they are in your workplace, जिनको हम मिलेनियल्स बोलते हैं. ये जो 24 साल के 25 साल के बच्चे जो कॉलेज से निकलकर आपको ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं, और मुझे नीरज जी कल बता रहे थे कि इनको यहाँ रहना इतना आसान नहीं होता इनके लिए, बिकॉज दे नीड फैसिलिटीज, दे नीड फ्रीडम, दे नीड अ मॉल, they need one, you know, nice other kinds of activities. I will not elaborate on that. So and they need a social life, they need a social circle, and they want to have access. You know, for the most important thing for this generation is हमारे पास accessibility होना चाहिए. Right, so this is a very interesting topic. So we have whatever time we have, we will try and make the best utilization of this. And I promise to make this more like a storytelling session for all of you. We will learn leadership through stories. So our book Leadership Gita itself is a story. So मैं हर 5-10 मिनट में आपको याद दिलाऊंगा कि ये बुक है, मैंने लिखा है, Amazon पे अवेलेबल है, आपको खरीदना है. क्योंकि मार्केटिंग किए बिना मुझसे रहा नहीं जाता. तो ओके, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट हियर. व्हाट इज लीडरशिप? व्हाट डू वी अंडरस्टैंड बाय लीडरशिप? ये होता क्या है? ये किस चिड़िया का नाम है लीडरशिप? थैंक यू सर. या थैंक यू सर. ये किस चिड़िया का नाम है लीडरशिप? क्या होता है ये लीडरशिप? Any ideas? Whatever your definition is, whatever your understanding is. Yes, sir.
Ability of a person to guide or lead a team.
Yeah, ability of a person to guide.
Or lead a team.
Okay, okay. What else?
Giving direction
To give direction. Okay. So can I capture some of these key words? So you're talking about guiding, and you're also talking about leading, and you use a very important word, which is ability.
Mentoring.
Yeah, mentoring,
Followers.
creating followers. Yeah, I mean creating what do you call good followers, people who understand what you are saying. Okay. What else? Role modeling. Yeah, I love that word. That's beautiful. Role modeling. What else? Huh? Inspiring. Okay. Okay. Excellent. So,
Managing people, situation and activities.
managing people, situation, and expectations and activities. Okay. Okay. Great. So we all know what leadership is all about. We do it every day, right? So you are doing it every day. You have a challenge every day. You have to address it every day. Every day one new brainwave comes. You have to handle that person, and there are so many challenges. So to put it all together, I define leadership as the ability to handle complexity. What is leadership? It is the ability to handle complexity. And today we are living in what is called as a VUCA world. Yeah, we all heard about this terminology, VUCA, which essentially means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. After COVID, or as COVID started, this has now become an accelerated VUCA world. So earlier it was volatile, now it is even more volatile. Earlier it was uncertain, now the uncertainty levels have gone up tremendously, because you never know when the next wave of COVID will hit. It's already hit in certain places, and we are just hoping that it doesn't come here. Then the complexity of life has increased for all of us. We were all caught up at home, and still somehow we managed. But can you manage one more lockdown? Can you manage one more similar situation? Nobody ever thought that you could work from home, that home can become office. So, so many things have changed. Life has become even more ambiguous. What is the meaning of ambiguous?
Not clear.
Not clear.
Lack of clarity. There is very little clarity. एक वैक्सीन लिया चलेगा पता नहीं, बोल रहे दूसरा भी ले लो, अच्छा इसके बाद ठीक होगा पता नहीं, बोल रहे बूस्टर लगा लो. अब भगवान ना करे कुछ बूस्टर का बूस्टर नहीं आ जाए. ये ऐसा ना हो कि हर साल एनुअल हेल्थ चेकअप के जैसे एनुअल वैक्सीनेशन प्लान बन जाए तुम्हारा लाइफ में. तो एनीथिंग कैन हैपन. And today, there is a word in management which they use very often, which is called as agility. So it's not so much, so what is this agility thing? It's not so much just about being agile. It's more about your ability to live with composure in high levels of uncertainty. That is the challenge. मतलब क्या होता है जिंदगी में, अगर मुझे पता है मुझे कहां जाना है तो मैं शांत हूं. जब मुझे पता नहीं है मैं कहां जाना है और पता करने का कोई स्कोप भी नहीं है, फिर भी मैं शांत हूं, क्योंकि मैं परेशान होकर करूंगा क्या. सो वी आर टुडे इन दैट. अब आपकी शादी हो गई, आपने बीवी को 4 बार कुछ समझा दिया, या बीवी ने पति को 4 बार समझा दिया, अब वो नहीं समझता, क्या करेंगे? तो यू लर्न टू समटाइम्स लिव विद दोस people and those situations. So it is like that right now. And the beauty of what has happened with the COVID scenario is, when I was giving the marriage example, I suddenly remembered you are also in the room. So I immediately shifted to the husband example. So
But you have to admit this, my husband is also
he is here. Oh my God! Please raise your hand. Great. This is what is called as doing everything in your powers to ensure your bill is never passed. Political correctness भी कोई चीज होती है जिंदगी में. तो suddenly I remember there is a lady in this room. और तुम मतलब मजे से ऐसे ऐसे जोक मारते रहते हो तो थोड़ा सुधर जाओ. Okay, so what is ambiguity? Ambiguity is learning to live with total lack of clarity, and Indians are very good at that. Actually हमको प्रॉब्लम होता है जब क्लैरिटी होती है. आप जितना भी सेफ्टी कर लो, लोग क्या सोच रहे हैं, अरे यार वो तो 2-3% लोग बेचारों को तकलीफ होता होगा बिना हेलमेट का, बाकी देश तो चल ही रहा है. और भारत में एटीट्यूड क्या होता है, जो भी दुर्घटना होगा ना वो मेरे बाजू वाले के साथ होगा, मेरे साथ नहीं होगा. लेकिन मजे की बात यह है, इसको पता नहीं है कि बाजू वाला भी तुम्हारे बारे में ऐसा ही सोच रहा है. तो किसका इंटेंशन पहले पलेगा अपने को पता नहीं. So in fact in India the traffic is much better if there is no signal. Everybody is adjusting and moving.
Compromise.
But the moment there is a signal, so I joke in this. I went to America and I asked somebody why are the vehicles waiting? He said, idiot, it's a red signal, can't you see? Red signal, cars are supposed to stop. Then I asked, so what is orange? They said, you get ready to move or you slow down. And green, you start. I said, in India we have only 3 signals. Green, greener, greenest. So we don't understand the red, orange and green. Green, start. Greener, go fast. Greenest, go fastest. So we live in this kind of a accelerated hookah world. So what happens is your leadership style, your leadership content also has to undergo a tremendous change, because yes, you need processes, you'll always need processes, but you always have to be ready to be flexible to change those processes because you don't know what's happening. Now tell me something, when you started your career आपने ये सोचा होगा कि अरे बढ़िया कंपनी मिल गई है. आप में से कुछ लोगों ने टाटा ग्रुप को ज्वाइन किया होगा जिस वक्त टाटा के साथ. तो आपने सोचा बढ़िया कंपनी मिल गई है, फिर अच्छा कंपनी ने टेक ओवर किया, रिटायर यहीं से होना है, अच्छी जिंदगी है, क्या कोई दिक्कत तो है नहीं, एवरीथिंग इज फाइन. योर मिलेनियल्स डोंट थिंक लाइक दैट. द न्यू पीपल आर ज्वाइनिंग, यू मे थिंक यू आर देयर बॉस, बट एक्चुअली दे आर इवेल्युएटिंग यू. ये मतलब ये मेरा बॉस बनने लायक है, मतलब इसको लाइफ में कुछ इंटरेस्ट लग नहीं रहा है, बस ये काम 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 करता रहता है, कैसे है. एंड और होता क्या है कि देयर इज ऑल्सो एज फैक्टर. वी हैव मोर एक्सपीरियंस, वी हैव ग्रोन एंड वी हैव गॉट इनटू अ सर्टन बिलीफ सिस्टम अबाउट लाइफ, अबाउट हैबिट्स, अबाउट चिल्ड्रन, एंड नाउ दीज किड्स कम अलोंग. And that is 65% of the Indian workforce, which is in the age group of 25 to 40 or 45 maximum. Out of that, the age group of 25 to 35 it's a very big population. And they believe in IPL. आज बॉल आया, आज मारने का, आज हारा, आज जीता, खत्म. टेस्ट मैच क्रिकेट में वो बिलीव नहीं करते. They don't believe in चेतेश्वर पुजारा, batting for all 5 days. They don't believe in Rahul Dravid. Their heroes are IPL heroes. जो 5 ओवर खेलेगा, 50 मारेगा, 10 ओवर खेलेगा, सेंचुरी मारेगा. That is, so their careers are also in their mind. They have constructed that kind of a world view. So that increases your complexity of managing them now. Because now if you sit down and tell them, I want you to work for a long term. That itself is a very big put off. Suppose you tell them, please be here, and I'm sure you must be doing maybe some exit interviews or even entry interviews. You will know what kind of a mindset they come with. Now, the most important thing as a manager for you and me is not to judge them, not to say they are wrong. This should not be the attitude. You should have longer term approach. They don't have. Why I want to build an exciting training company is people stay with you if they find you exciting. Simple. And they will stay longer with you if you can sustain your excitement for a long period of time. And one of the things the millennials cannot handle is boredom. उनको ना वो action चाहिए. They cannot handle it. मतलब otherwise they will be on Instagram or they will be on YouTube. And what I love about them, Frank, I have a daughter who is a millennial. She's 23. She's not a typical millennial, but by the grace of God, she's quite balanced that way. But what I like about these millennials is, if they are ready to call a spade, if they think something is wrong, they will let you know that something is wrong. Whether it's a parent, whether it's mom, dad, brother, sister, friend, anywhere. And they will even put it up on Facebook. They are ready to share. I love this about this generation. Like one day I was having a conversation with my daughter and I said something like, oh, आजकल वो term चल रहा है LGBTQ community. So मेरा tone कुछ अलग था because we are not used to thinking about those kind of people. They are also human beings, they're part of the planet. We should definitely think about them. So she asked me, Papa, आपका वो tone ऐसा क्यों था when you said LGBTQ? What is so abnormal about them? Nothing is abnormal about them. They are LGBTQ. You are somebody, they are somebody. खत्म होगी कहानी. So if you ask me, honestly, if you look at it from their perspective, they have solid value systems. We may think they don't have, but actually they have. They don't have our value systems. And they are ready to move on, whether it's a job or it's a relationship. और मेरे ख्याल से कई बार ये अच्छा ही है. Suppose a couple don't get along. And for some sake of some tradition or not upsetting people or for other practical reasons also, they just hang on and they're unhappy. But these kids are quite happy. नहीं जम रहा है यार. तू निकल, वेटिंग लिस्ट में वैसे ही 2-4 पड़े हैं, कोई टेंशन नहीं है. तुम भी जाओ, मैं भी जाता हूं, फिर मिलेंगे. And that way, they have this, they are very abundant. What they don't have is patience. And that is where all these areas of role modeling, guiding, ability, mentoring, all these factors, that is where you and me come into the picture. How can we provide that value to them to make them understand that there is a certain level of perseverance and patience which is required? I'm telling you, the intelligence of these kids is beyond imagination, because I also get opportunities sometimes to deal with startup ecosystem. So I go to some of these startup conferences and I see these 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds creating a new product, some technology, some pesticide, some fertilizer, some solution for the farmers or for some solution for the senior citizens. And I am absolutely amazed how they can come up with something so amazing. So I tell them, when I was of your age, I only knew the spelling of the word brain. I did not know how to use it. And these kids know how to use it. So they are very creative. They have great ideas. They are restless. So if you can put them in a space where they can express themselves, you can actually have a great working relationship with them. So they will pull you out of your comfort zone. You'll have to work out of your box and engage with them. Sometimes party with them. Sometimes have chai with them, have snacks with them. You have to build that relationship. Now, how many of you got teenage sons or daughters? So can you behave with them like मैं तेरा बाप हूं, मेरा बात सुनना ही चाहिए? वो बोलेगा मैं तेरा बच्चा है, तू मेरा सुनेगा तो कैसा रहेगा?
बोल देते हैं, आप अगर आप बोलो कि आपकी ये आदत है तो आपसे सीखी है ना।
आपसे
टीनेज नहीं, मेरी 9 साल की बेटी है वो कल वो उसको स्कूल में जाना था तो मम्मी ने प्रॉमिस किया था।
हाँ।
डे बिफोर यस्टरडे तो नहीं हुआ। प्रॉमिस तो था ना, जाना तो था, आपने प्रॉमिस किया था।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल वादा निभा नहीं सकते तो करते क्यों? और मजे की बात क्या है कि जब हम बच्चे थे और हम वो आत्माराम तुकाराम भिड़े वाला डायलॉग मारते हैं हमारे जमाने में वगैरह, ये सब चलता नहीं है उनके साथ। जैसे आप बुद्धू थे, मैं क्या करूं? आपको माँ बाप से डर लगता था, मुंह नहीं खोलते थे, मैं क्या कर सकता हूं उसमें? है ना? आप बोलते थे आपके मम्मी पापा को कि मेरे साथ ऐसे बिहेव मत करो, ऐसा मत बोलो। सो इट्स अ वेरी डिफरेंट इक्वेशन. टुडे पेरेंट्स हैव टू रेस्पेक्ट देयर चिल्ड्रन and maybe fear them also to some extent for the values that they propagate. You know, they are brilliant. मुझे तो बहुत मजा आता है ये जनरेशन के साथ बात करने में, इनसे बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलता है. You know, लेकिन the challenge here is, am I ready to shed my ego and my upbringing and my experiences with them? If I'm ready to do that, it's very exciting to work with these people. I think I'm telling you, one of the best ways to engage with them is just call them to their cabin and say, 2-4 apps बता ना मेरे मोबाइल में मैं कैसे यूज कर सकता हूं. They'll fall in love with you. That's all they need from you. क्या बात है सर, आजकल आप सीखने के मूड में हो, क्या बात है, चलो बताता हूं. And they will, और आपको डांट के सिखाएंगे, ऐसा प्यार से नहीं सिखाएंगे. वो भूल जाएंगे तुम बॉस है, क्या है, सीनियर है, मैनेजर है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता उनको. क्या कर रहे हो सर, ऐसे नहीं होता है. अरे ओटीपी मिल नहीं रहा, ऐसे नहीं मिलेगा. आपका फोन है, आपको पता नहीं ओटीपी कहाँ आ रहा है. ऐसे ऐसे बोल के समझाएंगे, ये आपको ऐसे बोल के समझाएंगे. या so you understand that complexity is a very expanding space. And as the world moves further towards more uncertainty, the leadership complexity is only going to further manifold. It is going to multiply. For example, ये भी होता है कि पॉलिटिक्स ही ले लीजिए. मैं कॉर्पोरेटर हूं तो मेरा लेवल ऑफ कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी कम होता है. माई एरिया इज लिमिटेड टू माई लोकेलिटी. देन आई बिकम MLA. देन माई कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी ग्रोस, द कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी ग्रोस. From MLA, I become MP. My constituency grows further. My complexity grows further. Then I become minister. My complexity grows more. Then I become chief minister. My complexity grows even more. Then I become prime minister. I don't want to comment on how complex. Of course, some prime ministers have a talent of making you feel that the job is very simple. Okay? But it's actually not that simple. Yeah? So, and then it also depends on which country's prime minister you are. If you are Sri Lanka's prime minister, then nobody can, I mean, God help you then. Okay? Poor guys are going through so much of trouble. But if you are America's president, that is a different level of complexity. Because then he is the number one guy in the world, you know, so he has to live up to those expectations. So, एक अलग challenge है. If you are India's prime minister, उसका अलग challenge है. So, your complexity also increases because of your span of control. As your span of control increases, your complexity will increase. So you started off at a junior level, for example, at an entry level, then you became a first time manager. So your complexity increased because so far you are only responsible for your performance and your efficiency, and now you are also responsible for 5 other people. And this happens in many of the sales leadership programs that I do. They struggle moment the best salesman is promoted to be a sales manager. Then they start struggling. And why do they struggle? दे आर चैंपियंस ना, तो उनको स्ट्रगल नहीं करना चाहिए, तो क्यों स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं?
They are individual contributors.
They are individual contributors. So as an individual, I am a champion. And many organizations make this mistake of promoting the most performing guy as a manager. And in generally, it doesn't work out. The reason being, Sachin Tendulkar never made a great captain was because he is a genius. So he thinks everybody around me also has to be like that. But why Saurav Ganguly made a great captain was, he was above average, but he was not the god of cricket. And he was somebody I could relate to. You know, Saurav da hai apna, ये सचिन पाजी है यार, मैं अप्रोच ही नहीं कर सकता उसको, क्यों? वो भगवान है. I can't talk to him. But Saurav is like, he's my friend, you know. He's better than me, but he's my friend. And if you see, we're going to give the example of Saurav Ganguly later. Saurav Ganguly built a team which was better than him. He brought in talent which performed better than him. So the best performer hardly ever makes the best leader. It is true in sports and it is true in organizations. और मैंने ये भी देखा है कि the number one salesman, when he becomes the leader, I'm sure it happens in operations teams also, non-sales teams also. When the best guy is promoted, he is promoted on the basis of performance, not on the basis of people skills. You may have a guy who is average performer, but excellent with people. But company metrics say if I promote him, then the best performer will leave. They'll say because this person is not a good performer like me, but I am denied my promotion. और इंडिया में ना ये ग्रोथ का बीमारी है. उनको लगता है कि हायरार्किकल ग्रोथ ही ग्रोथ होता है. उनको लगता है कि मैं मैनेजर नहीं बना, सीनियर मैनेजर नहीं बना, जीएम नहीं बना तो मेरा लाइफ में ग्रोथ नहीं हो रहा है. Growth is first internal. Today we are doing this session not because after this session all of you will get an appraisal and you will be promoted. But you are doing this session because you want to grow internally. You want to learn something. You want to acquire some perspectives. That's why you are here. Isn't it? So this is another thing to be very careful about. That when you're recommending the best performer for a promotion within an organization, there may be some practical difficulties and you may have to adhere to them. Your job as a manager is to get him ready for the manager's job. To sensitize him to be able to handle people now. And handling people is a totally different ballgame. I admire Dhoni for one reason, that he was the captain of all legends in the team. Everybody whom he captained was a legend. Tendulkar, Sehwag, Ganguly, Lakshman, Kumble. Everybody was a legend, but they all played under Dhoni. It speaks a lot about his people management skills. He would make an excellent CEO. If he starts a big corporate, he can be an excellent CEO. He got that ability to work with people who are far better than him. Far more accomplished than him. So leadership is about managing complexity. Now, as I said, I have this book called Leadership Gita, which is available on Amazon. It is co-authored with him. And I hope that... क्या 10 मिनट का गैप हो गया? और अलार्म सेट है, 10 मिनट के बाद उसको टिक टिक करना है, बोलना ही है. क्या शांति से खरीद लोगे तो सपने में बुक नहीं आएगा. और बबराला तक अमेज़न पहुंचाता है ना, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है ना, फिर क्या दिक्कत है सब. So in this book we covered 6 tenets which I'm going to share with you. And the first tenet of leadership after understanding that I'm getting into a complex job is, see, before we come to that, one thing you must understand that if you want to be a leader, you must have passion to work and lead people. If you have a passion to not lead people and you are much better sitting in one corner and contributing individually, it's very important to help people recognize that that is where my happiness is and they should never get into a managerial role. I know somebody in my family works with an IT company, and I keep asking him, I mean, why don't you look for a team management kind of a position? I'm very happy doing my work individually. I think now he's handling a team because at some point you may have to, but he's got great clarity that I don't want to work with people. I want to work myself. Of course, when you're working alone also you have to work with people, but I don't want to be held directly responsible for 5 careers, 10 careers, 25 careers, and I don't want to get into that. And some people, which is something Tendulkar realized, that I would be a far better leader by not being a captain. So you don't have to be a captain to be a leader. You can be a leader anyway. If you take initiative, you are a leader. You support people, you are a leader. You are work in collaboration, you are a leader. You have team spirit, you are a leader. Everybody has to make those small contributions. So, some people are very good to work individually. So, encourage them to work individually. So, the first tenet is, as a leader, you should have your purpose defined. What is the reason why I want to be a leader? What is the purpose? The purpose is because I like to boss around people. अच्छा लगता है मुझे 4 जना के रोज बॉस बोलते हैं, गुड मॉर्निंग बोलते हैं, बड़ा मजा आता है. ऐसे गाड़ी से उतरता हूँ, साहब सलाम ऐसा बोलते, बहुत मजा आता है मुझे. और फिर कैबिन में बैठ के 4 जन को बुला के मैं डांट देता हूँ 9:30 बजे, ताकि उसका दिन बर्बाद हो जाए. बोला तुम मेरा कुछ अच्छा तो कर नहीं सकते, चलो मैं तुम्हारा कुछ बिगाड़ देता हूं. सुबह 9:30 बजे बुला के उसको डांट दिया. कल ऐसे काम करते हो? ये फैक्ट शीट देखो क्या हालत है. सर डांटना हो 11:30 बजे डांटो. सवेरे 9:30 बजे डांट दिया आपने, दिन खराब हो जाएगा. तो मेरा कौन सा अच्छा जाएगा? तो is that the reason why you want to become leaders? No. The basic purpose of leadership is, how can I make a difference to the world through my business model? And how can I make a difference to people who work with me? Instead of creating more followers, can I create more leaders? And when I say creating more leaders, does not mean everybody has to be given a promotion and everybody becomes a manager. That's one metric. How many people got promoted under me? That's one metric. But the real test of leadership is, how many of them became capable of handling their careers by themselves? And they have the ability to create more leaders down the line. And will they remember your contribution 25 years from now? We all talk about our bosses, isn't it? We may not be in touch with them, but we still talk about them. We give their examples all the time. So if you look at some of the great organizations in the world, they don't just do it for the money. They do it for the mission. And I learned a lot from being a part of the life insurance industry when I worked for Max Life Insurance. And today also I do a lot of sessions for various life insurance companies. In fact, one of them is Tata Life. So, in that we train agents on, when you sell a policy, you get a commission. But that is not what you should be working for. You should be working for the mission within the commission. So, if you see the word commission, uske andar ek word chupa hua hai, that is called mission. So, you should always put the mission before the commission. So my request is, I'm sure you may be doing it, but just to reiterate, whenever new people join in and you do an induction program for them, apart from whatever processes and JDs or whatever they need to learn technically, please sensitize them about the Yara vision, mission, and values and make them passionate about it. And once the induction is over, they are with the supervisor. Then the supervisor has to first ask them, what is Yara's vision, mission, and values? Then you need to ask them, what is your job? What are you supposed to do? What help you require? But please tell me, what is Yara's vision, mission, and values? Okay, it may not sink in here immediately, but at least it should get in here first. And you look at some of these great organizations, they have great purposes. For example, Apple. Apple is one of the greatest management case studies because in the year 2007 or 8, Nokia had 95% market share or 85% market share. And after a few years, Nokia was almost out of business. And just within a few years, by the time it was 2012 or 13, Apple had completely changed the game. And people are buying Apple not because, even though it is very expensive, the same features I can get in a 10,000 rupees smartphone also, but I am ready to pay 40-50,000 just to own an Apple because that's the brand connect. And whenever you want to gift somebody something nice and expensive, you always think, can I buy him an iPad? Can I buy an iPhone? Can I buy a MacBook? So people don't buy the price, they always buy the value. And Apple has been able to create that value because the purpose of existence is they exist because they want to change the status quo in the world. They want to change the जो जैसा है उसको डिसरप्ट करना है और उस गेम को चेंज कर देना है. That is Apple's purpose. So whether they sell mobile phones, they sell laptops, or they sell credit cards, or they start a bank, their purpose of the business will always remain the same. They will create disruption there also by their innovation and their creativity and by wanting to change the status quo. You want to say something? Yeah. And by wanting to change the status quo. So I read at YCGC, that's what it is called, right? Yara Growth Center. So Yara's mission is to provide a hungry-free world. It's a very powerful purpose. But what happens is there are two ways of looking at this purpose. One is to look at it and say, अच्छा लिखते हैं. English is good. And the mission statement is very good. Some management consultant has helped them frame it, I think. It looks beautiful on the wall. Other thing is to own that mission. That whether it is a contract worker, whether it's a security guy, whether it is you, whether it is any of the junior employees, mid-management employees, it's a director, CEO, whatever it is, everybody is aligned to that one thing, that through my role, I'm contributing towards creating a hunger-free world. That is what the power of purpose is. That is what the power of purpose is. And I do another very big motivational session called One Man's Passion. It's how one man can change the world. Steve Jobs was one man, he changed the world. Mahatma Gandhi was one man, he changed the world. Dr. Verghese Kurian was one man, he changed the world. So you and me are still a lot of us together and we can accomplish a lot of magic. You look at Starbucks, for example. When Howard Schultz, who became the CEO of Starbucks, interestingly was an employee of Starbucks. And then he grew within the ranks and he became the CEO of Starbucks. And his vision was not to sell coffee. His vision was to build a community of people who will come together and have conversations over a cup of coffee. So actually what he was selling was a community. Coffee was just a byproduct. Yeah, actually what you are selling is a hunger-free world. Your products are just a byproduct of that. Because you need something concrete to back up something esoteric like this. So you see, today people go to Starbucks. Alright, let's meet over coffee at Starbucks. Why not at the tapri ka dukan, where you get the same coffee for 10 rupees? Here at Starbucks, after seeing the bill, your blood pressure will shoot up. Why not meet outside Starbucks? Because that's where you can spend time and you can have a community feeling. So, as a leader, your job has to be, this bacha has come to me. It's my job to ensure that this bacha is successful for however long he or she stays with me. A team is a reflection of the leader. I have never enjoyed any other statement on leadership than this, more than this. A team is a reflection of the leader. जैसा राजा वैसा प्रजा. ये सब भारत में ऑलरेडी था. अंग्रेज लोग ने उसको एक अच्छा सिस्टम में डाला, बढ़िया टर्मिनोलॉजी बनाया, 2-4 कंसल्टेंट को लेके आए, 4 प्रोसेस मैप बनाया, बढ़िया सा पावर पॉइंट बनाया और वो पॉपुलर हो गया. तो अच्छी बात है. वी हैव टू लर्न फ्रॉम देम हाउ टू सिस्टमेटाइज थिंग्स. सो if your bacha fails, you are responsible for it. If your bacha succeeds, you alone are not responsible for it. Right? And that includes your ghar ka bacha also and your office ka bacha also. If your people succeed, then you are not the only person responsible for that, because there is an ecosystem that supports. But if the bacha fails, then it's only you and you who has to stand up and take ownership. No, actually, no. I didn't want to select that guy in the team. He played a bad shot. That's what he does every match. But what to do? Board president is putting pressure on me. Take this guy, take this guy. That's why we lost the match. And you are a captain. You have to say, we lost the match because we did not do well. And I take ownership for it. Simple and straight. Khatam ho gayi kahani. No, actually our bowlers are bad. Our fielders are bad. Actually the country itself is bad. I am migrating to United States. I will not play IPL. I will play UPL now. United States Premier League. So purpose, power of purpose. It's a very powerful subject. It gets me very activated sometimes. So I will not carry too much into it. We could probably reserve it for another day. Second is courage and self-confidence. If you are a leader, you need a lot of courage. And of course, to get more details about whatever I'm saying, you know what you have to do. हद होती है, मतलब क्या करें. Second is courage and self-confidence. I would request कि आप लिखते जाइए so that it stays with you. And of course, I'm recording it. So I'll put it on my channel also. You can watch it.
बुक में होगा ना?
अमेज़न में जो मिलूंगा.
Amazon का बुक में भी तो होगा. क्या बात है सर, मेरा दिल जीत लिया आपने. मतलब आलसी बनने का एक और बहाना मिल गया. लिख भी लोगे, रिकॉर्डिंग भी देख लोगे, किताब भी पढ़ लोगे, तो सोचो कैसा जबरदस्त और लीडर बनेगा. So there is this amazing story about Sylvester Stallone, who was the star of Rocky. He's a legend in Hollywood. He had a very difficult childhood. He even suffered some kind of a facial paralysis or something, I think. And his whole story is again captured in the book. Plus, it's on YouTube also. And he had to work in, he was a very poor person. He had to sleep in the bus stands of New York and all that. And he even had to act in pornography films to get his career started. So he had a lot of problems. His life changed when one day he went to watch a fight between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Norris, I think. And he was so inspired by that boxing fight, he wrote a script called Rocky. and he tried selling that script to a lot of producers. So they all offered him some money, and they said, "You sell us the script," but Sylvester Stallone said, "I also want to star in the film. I'll be the hero. I will not sell it to you unless you make me the hero." He said, "That's not possible. Who are you?" So he kept on getting rejected, and he had no money to even have 2 meals a day. He even had to sell his dog to someone so that he could survive. And finally, people even offered him very good rates for buying the script but not making him a hero. But look at his conviction. He said, "Acting karunga, agar a picture banegi to hero main hi banunga." And finally he got an offer to be a hero in that film at a much lower cost. They bought the script from him. He acted in that film, and the rest is history. So, Sylvester Stallone is also a great example of self-leadership. What do you believe in life? What's your conviction? We are all very politically correct people, And our millennials are changing that. They are saying, if you believe in something, talk about it. Speak about it. Raise your voice against it. Don't clam up in one corner and let things happen as they are happening. And Sylvester Stallone went back to the buyer of that dog and bought back the dog at a much higher price. That also shows his character and his affection for the dog. He brought him back. So, as a leader, you need a lot of courage, because there will be many times a situation where you have to choose between what is right, what is correct, and what is convenient. There will be many times a situation where you have to choose between what is correct and what is convenient. And when you do something correct, it may cause a lot of inconvenience, a lot of discomfort. And when you choose what is convenient, you may have gained in the short term, but you are going to lose out in the long term. You can see that it happens all the time in politics. They always take shortcuts. They always come up with populist measures, and it damages us over the longer term. It happens with many organizations also. It happens with many teams also. And it happens with many families also. आज बच्चा बिना मोबाइल हाथ में लिए खाना नहीं खाएगा तो उसको दे देते हैं. शॉर्ट टर्म में तो आपने उसको खाना खिला दिया. आपने लॉन्ग टर्म में क्या डैमेज किया उसके लिए? वो कभी भी टेक्नोलॉजी के बिना खाना नहीं खाएगा. And we all have got into this actually. We have to watch television. We have to be on our mobile. एक्चुअली 4 जन मिलके खाना खा रहे हैं, फैमिली में सब मोबाइल में बिजी है और फैमिली सीरियल देख रहे हैं. So we spoke about 2 tenets: purpose and courage and self-confidence. The third is what is very, very important, very critical: communication skills. What is communication skills? What is communication? How would you define communication?
You want to say something and it is perceived in the same manner how you want to say.
Okay.
Interpreted in the same.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So the receiver should get the message in the same way that the sender intended that the receiver should receive. But what is the most important element of communication? What is the one most important skill in communication? Which most wives complain that husbands don't possess. I am looking this side. Yeah?
Clarity.
Huh?
Clarity in the communication.
Clarity and
Purpose.
listening. भावनाओं को समझते हैं सर, है ना? तो the most important component in communication is not speaking. It is listening. Yeah, I can take feedback only if I listen.
Effective communication means both the way. Is the listener and the seer. Both
Correct.
can understand the situation, the language.
Absolutely. But if both want to talk only,
What I say is effective communication.
Correct.
The
So
aim which should go to the listener.
yeah, absolutely. So the foundation of all this is listening. Somebody has to listen. अच्छा बाप तुम बोल फाइन नहीं बोलो अरे बोल दे भाई बोल दे मैं सुन रहा हूं. And once you are a good listener, what kind of a listener should you be? Your team member came to you. I remember once going to my boss. I said, boss, I want to discuss something with you. Well, bol. And he's, so I'm waiting. बोल मैं सुन रहा हूं. बोला मुझे बोलना ही नहीं है. If you are not taking total interest and you are not completely fully engaged in this conversation, आप अपना काम खत्म करो, मैं बाद में आता हूं. मुझे बोलना ही नहीं है.